Good evening, guys. Rusty here. Welcome back to Impact Dynamics. Up for another Tuesday night. This time, Ben is joining us for the second Tuesday in a row. This is not like a regular thing necessarily, unless you really like Ben, and we'll just keep getting him back because I like Ben. He's a good bloke. But Ben is back tonight. We're going to be talking about Lithgow Arms and the factory and we've both been through it and seen stuff and shot there, and so we're going to share some of that experience as well. Ben did a really good video on that. More on that shortly. It's a couple of exciting things. Oh, yep, James is in the chat. Good, guys, if you are in the chat, say good day. So tell us what you're up to and how your Easter was, all that sort of stuff. That'll be excellent. Projectile Warehouse, again, 5% off there. ID Live number 5 as a code. You get 5% off. ID Live 5. Also, new Strike Eagle from Vortex's updates. There's details on that, which is the 5 to 25 by 56 with 34mm tube. We were all sort of speculating what it was going to be costing, and every number I saw, it's coming cheaper. $1,140 delivered from Scoped Out. Scoped Out, a little bit of sponsorship there as well. That's a really amazing price for a scope that does all those things at that price point, under $1,200. Delivered. So they potentially could be about 4 to 6 weeks away, but you can pre-order it through Scoped Out, and already I think half of the allocation has already sold. So if you think about that scope and that's something that hits market, we probably can't use our guns on ranges for at least 6 weeks at a guess. So you probably have it before you get back on there. Anyway, if you guys jumping in the chat, welcome aboard, Carl and Jonesy and Warwick. Great to have you on board. What else have we got going on? Tomorrow night is the Zoom hangout after the show. So after the show, we'll finish up about 9 o'clock East Coast time, 8:30 where I am. And for about 40 minutes after that, there'll be a Zoom room. The details will be up at the end of the chat. Jump in the Zoom room and join us for a chat, and we'll be there just showing our guns, showing bits and pieces, doing whatever you guys want to talk about and questions and stuff. But nice to see each other, and a few guys have been doing that the last few weeks. We've always had a really good take up on it, and I think there'll be a few upset people if we stop doing it. So we're going to do it again. It will be excellent to have on deck. By the way, thanks we had a stack of entries for our Caption This, which came up on Sunday night, the photo that Kerry shared with us. It's gone up on Facebook and Instagram. We're going to cover a bit of that tonight, depending on how we go for time. So, great to have you, Steve, Richo, F88, excellent, Charles, Anthony. Oh, a bunch of names in the chat. Excellent, great to see, guys. If you're watching this, share it out as well. That's all. We'd love to have more people involved so we can, take more questions and share some more knowledge with people and all that sort of thing. So chuck it up and grab the link and put that all on Facebook, and it will be excellent to do, especially when you've got someone like this man joining us tonight. Ben Jarrett, sorry, Ben, I had an email interrupt me when I was getting to your last name. Ben Jarrett from all sorts of places, but predominantly from Hay. But the Long Gun Project is what he spends a fair bit of time doing and making amazing videos. So let's flick him up on the screen. Ben, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm going well. How is the gorgeous country town of Hay?
Look, it's still pretty quiet. Lockdown is making things a little quieter than usual, but tell you what, if you'd never been to Hay before the lockdown, you probably would notice the difference. Lifestyle remains pretty much unchanged, which is lucky for me.
Fantastic. Well, it's pretty much similar here. I went to the gun shop today, and apart from having a sign on the door of only allowing 6 people in, everything was pretty as per normal. Got stuff and picked up bits and pieces and all this sort of gear and picked up some ammo, and I did see a story today. This one's good. The one of the supermarkets here, there's I don't know if is IGA, not IGA, Foodland. Are they a national chain or are they just SA? I don't know these things. I think they're SA.
No, I've only ever found the Foodland in SA.
Okay, so Drake's Foodland, one of the brands of Foodland here in SA, independent supermarkets. They said that a guy came back to the shop today with 150 32-pack toilet paper, and he wanted a refund for 150.
Because he finally figured out that it would take him 30 years to use it all,
and then some. And the guy who owns one of the named owners of the company, the full chain, said that his response was. For those on the podcast, I should remember this is a podcast. He gave him the finger. That was apparently his response. No, mate. No, you don't. You get to stock up and make it a problem for everybody else, and then just get all your money back when you realise you're being an idiot. Anyway, so I thought that was great. So
that is poetic justice.
If you are looking for toilet paper, though, I happen to have 150. No. But the guy's out there somewhere, so you could probably find some options. We might need a bit for all the crap we talk here. All right, excellent, mate. So, your latest video, how's that gone? That's the one on Lithgow Arms.
It is, yes. Look, it's going quite well. It's been up for a couple of days now. Just over 700 odd views.
Fantastic.
If anyone is looking to see the video that we're talking about, get onto the Long Gun Project on YouTube. But it's going quite well. I found that the two videos that I have done, which feature Lithgow Arms and one of their rifles, have always done particularly well, and I think that's probably because everybody has a bit of a bent towards Australian-made stuff, and everyone wants to see Australian-made stuff doing really well and is interested in it. Even if you aren't in the market to buy a rifle, you would probably, part of staying, probably keen to see Australian industry do well. So, they seem to track pretty well in terms of the number of views and that sort of stuff. So, it's very encouraging.
Yeah, excellent, mate. And that was I believe when we plugged it on the podcast, I said it's going to be your biggest video yet. We're on track to do that, aren't we? I might have guessed that one right.
Yeah, very, very much. Look, you want to make any other predictions? Please go right ahead.
Send me the next video, and I'll send me next video, and I'll make a guess. Do you know what I didn't predict?
That's it.
Is I thought like impacts, like keep the Facebook and all that sort of pumping, and we're talking about shooting. And I thought, you know what?
Yep.
My beard is taking over my life at the moment. It's not down here is fine. This is all good, but here, like, this is just so thick. These earmuffs, like, I can't even get anyway. So it just getting, and then I won't take the hat off, but the mohawk is in disarray. Let's put it that way. And so I thought, you know what? I've got a whole stack of guys who, like, 80% probably have beards, and the other 20% probably cut their own hair. I'm going to see if these guys know anything about trimmers. And so I just put up a stupid photo of a dude with a reverse mohawk and just asked for people's thoughts on, have you guys got trimmers that you use or whatever. And I'm thinking this is going to be my biggest, my tanking post is just going to be, it's like the 5th post I've done today. So no one's going to see it. No one's, bang, like 2,000 people in an hour and a half. It's mad. So clearly, I will stop all shooting content from now on, and we're just going to talk hairdressing and manscaping.
We're just going to talk. We'll talk beards.
That's pretty much the way the channel's going.
It reminds me of the that song by the Beards, Beard Accessory Store.
Oh, do you know what? I wonder if we could do a special episode with one of the Beards lads. I went to school with those boys. I wonder if we'd be able to get them on.
I honestly think you probably could.
I'm not making any
before we
promises.
get down that rabbit hole.
I'm not making any promises, but that would be that could be hilarious. We'll have a beard Q&A. Could we do a beard Q&A?
Absolutely. Why not?
All right. Anyway,
beard products and we digress.
We do digress. Back onto Lithgow, because we thought, with your video coming out and then I've had the tour of Lithgow, very fortunate, thanks to a few, thanks particularly to Richard, and I know you've obviously had the tour because you did the video on it. And we actually ran a training course back. That was our last training course we actually ran. Was there at Lithgow, and so been through there, spent a couple of days there, and shot there as well. And that's how we know Jonesy from who was on last week. So I thought it might be a really interesting point to talk a little bit about what we saw, the bits we're all allowed to talk about, and just to see it, and if there's stuff that you learnt that no idea about, including myself as well, and then you got a chance to shoot there as well, which is good to see. So I don't know where we start. Do we start at the beginning, like security? I don't know.
The guys at security were really great. They're friendly. Friendly, but still gave a "don't muck me around" attitude. I don't know. No, it was look. It was really good. I don't know about you, but Paul and Peter grabbed us and took us into initially the gun room, which is sort of their boardroom for impressing people.
Now when I went there, that was
subsequently impressed.
When I went there, that wasn't set up at that stage.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I've not seen the gun room.
So
tell me about the gun room.
Well, I mean, I got to show one half of the gun room. The other half was all the military side of stuff.
Yeah.
And, because of the sensitive nature of that sort of thing, I was able to, being ex-defence, I was, shown a few of the latest iterations of what is now the F90. And we talked about some of the changes from the original rifle that I was trained on. So that was really interesting. Just talking about the changes that evolution that it's gone through. Then you've got that whole military side of it. And they've even got a couple of movie prop versions of the same thing. So because the F88 Steyr or the AUG is a fairly futuristic looking rifle, it lent itself fairly well to becoming a movie prop. So they had two versions of the Oz Steyr, which were movie prop versions, which were really interesting as well. So, and then of course you had the civilian side, which is what I was able to show in the video, and it had everything from the old 22s that were probably marketed as at the time Slazenger or whatever, right through to the different iterations of the Woomera.
Yep.
So it was when you walk in there, it's all everything's felt lined and beautifully lit and that sort of stuff, and it's sort of like, okay, I would have led with this too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I had seen some plans for it and bits and pieces, and it did look like it was going to be a good setup. So I'm very jealous of that part of your outing.
Yeah. So when you got there, because you would have skipped the gun room because it wasn't there. But where did they start you with your tour?
Standing at Richard's desk talking rubbish. In the office part, just at the top, we were just chatting away with Jason, who you interviewed, who was one of one of their sort of key engineers, designers. Had a good chat with him. Real interesting bloke. We've caught up with him a number of times.
Yeah, yep. He's really, really great guy to talk to and that sort of stuff. And it was really great that, my initial thoughts were when I went there, I, as a courtesy, sent him a list of the questions that I was most likely to ask and that sort of stuff. And I thought they might be a bit cagey about information, being, commercial entity and that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. You would protect some of that information, but they were really, really open, very forthcoming with a lot of the information, and that was really, really great because I think it gives everybody who watches the video so much like a bit more of an understanding of what happens behind the gates and the logo and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. And then we headed down. Oh man, it's a few years ago now. This is trying to think when we did this. This is sort of in 2017. I don't know. I don't even remember.
Yeah, because I remember your videos that was a 3-part.
Oh no! So
It was a
you're referencing my my look at the
was it the museum?
Small Arms Museum, which many people don't realise, but
Yeah,
they're an entirely different entity, completely different entity.
yeah,
Who
yep,
they've got very little to do with each other. Bar one being sort of the history of the other, so to speak.
yep.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we were there for 217 to run that course. And yeah, we I think we headed out and had a little look around the upper workshop area. You'll be a bit fresher with
Yes.
this stuff than I was. We started at the top, and took us through some of those things that you talked about, the metallurgy and some of those sort of rooms that they look at. Man, I'm struggling to remember all the details of what we did. There was so
Yeah,
much to take in, but yeah, I mean, it's still
yeah.
fresh in your mind.
The room. I remember the room you're talking about. So that's that. It's like it's the hermetically controlled environment one where
Mm,
they take samples of all the steel that they're using and the interesting part
mm,
about what they do in there I thought was they're the guys who measure the measuring tools and control all of that so that
yeah.
you know everything goes in there, it's hermetically sealed and all that sort of stuff, and everything gets tested with lasers and all this sort of stuff to make sure everything's in spec. So and they rotate all the instruments through, so the stuff that is certified as being in spec goes back out on the production line, and
Mm,
they use that to measure everything, and then the stuff that they were using gets rotated back in. They check it, yep, and if there's any discrepancies, they can go, okay, that batch needs to be checked to see if it's within spec or not.
yeah.
Awesome, sort of quality control methodology and that sort of stuff, and it's sort of that was kind of cool. Sounds very nerdy, but it's like, well, that's I
Yeah,
guess what it takes to be committed to that level of
yeah.
of control.
It gives some real depth to their production. Like you think, oh yeah, you just pump it through and do this and that, but it gives like these are the supporting features of a proper factory that allow it to operate. We saw the same, not the same thing, but the same concept of things when we were over in Vortex in Wisconsin. Same year
Yep.
actually, I think. Anyway, 2017, and seeing the guys who create the tools to build the scopes, and seeing the guys who measure that and do those checks, and then the guys who reference the optics. They use items to check the optics of the scopes that are about to be built. So, yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting to see all these sort of supporting areas of the manufacturing process. Yeah. So, where did you go on to next?
Um, from that part, we went downstairs, and that was, and we sort of ended up on the lower floor, I suppose, and it was divided in two halves. And if you went in one direction, that was the military side of it,
Yes.
and if you went in the other direction, that was the civil side.
Yep.
So we obviously went down the civil side, and and it's interesting that a lot of the machinery and that sort of stuff that is used for civil stuff is also used for the military stuff.
Yes.
So and vice versa, because there's efficiencies to be created there, and it's and there's different processes for finishing. A lot of the military barrels, chrome lining, and what have you. But so and where we sort of you get down off the stairs and you're there in this enormous, like the ceilings. You remember they're super high.
Absolutely.
It's like I could land an aircraft in the length of this hall. This is ridiculous, and
and it's just so
would actually be pretty good for some indoor shooting ranges too.
Oh, right.
I would imagine, like some of those.
I know what they get up to on weekends. Yeah, spot on. Yeah, that'd be
But
good.
I mean, when you did your tour, and you went into the older buildings that that aren't being used, you would have seen just how long and how empty and how vast they were. I went.
Yeah.
We actually did a military exercise down there at one stage back in '06, I think it was, and they just let us charge around the place. And
I heard about
some of these halls are just
stories.
ridiculously large and ridiculously long, and you sort of think, yeah, indoor shooting range in here, you could, small ball, you could totally do that. That's pretty cool. So but where you come down off the stairs and right in front of you is barrels. That's barrel manufacture. Everything from the cold lump of steel rod, and then from there it just sort of progresses further down the line. So
I found the barrel manufacturing the most interesting part of that tour. Because
definitely.
So that's some of the machines they use were significantly old. I assume they're still using them for some of the process, like 100+ years old, and and he asked you like, wouldn't you update that? And the response was, mate, those things are just so solid and so good at what they do and so accurate. There is like it would be. It's just not worth it to update it, and why? Because it's doing such a good job already. And then
and if it's within tolerance, why would you change it?
Yeah, and they keep they work it and they keep it well maintained. But that thing has just been going for years. So the barrel drills, I think they're called, whatever they're called,
it was, and the guy who I met, Kevin, would have been the guy who was working there when you were there if he was on shift. And he's been there since he was an apprentice. And he was talking about the process, how they drill them and then they machine the ends so that it will then go into the forge correctly and over the mandrel, and then they take it and they polish the inside of the barrel. And he was talking about how the slightest imperfection in the surface inside the barrel, because you sort of think cold hammer forged barrels, they're all the same, and of course none of that's true, and it makes sense when you hear the explanation. And he was saying that if there's a small scratch or anything like that inside the barrel, once you hammer that down and elongate it, because you're taking a barrel blank, say 600 mils long, and then you're stretching it out, everything gets exaggerated. So the smallest imperfection, the smallest scratch, or even, he was saying, even the lint off the cleaning cloth, if it's stuck in the barrel when they forge it, they said that barrel's, it'll probably still shoot, but that's chuck it in the bin type thing. And and the tolerance, because I didn't expect him to tell me. So look, what sort of tolerance do you guys work to? And he said 0.6 which is being the designated for microns.
Okay.
And I thought he said 6, and I thought 6 microns. Like, that's bang, that's pretty good. I said, so 6 microns. And he goes, no, 0.6.
0.6.
We work to 1.2, but we like 0.6.
Yeah, okay, that'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see that the forger running, the hammer forge running?
Did, yes, yeah. So I actually managed to get a brief camera shot of the mandrel there and the sort of the hammer plates, but nothing going through there because all the covers get put over it and that kind of stuff. But I did ask and said, look, what to put steel under that amount of pressure would generate an enormous amount of heat.
Because it's just for people watching or listening, there is this huge machine that effectively just takes this barrel blank that is a foot long-ish, and
over a foot,
and pretty thick, and then takes it and just pounds this sucker away and just shimmies it and just keeps pounding with so much force, and it's loud, real loud, and that then creates and comes out with this full length barrel, and it's amazing to watch. yeah, sensational watch, and really interesting to be there to see that. And I had no idea what happened. I mean, I'm not a machinist type guy. I've got no clue what all that is. But just to see it there and go, oh, that's a really fascinating way, and the way that this mandrel goes up. Do you remember what the mandrel's made out of? It's whatever it is, but that basically has the rifling in this mandrel. It just gets pounded around this thing and
it does, yeah.
imprinted basically on the inside of the barrel, and that's how that hammer forging works. Anyway, onto the heat.
Yeah, well, I mean that I don't know what the mandrel's made out of, but it obviously it's got to be tough. Yeah. It's really, really tough.
Really tough.
But
yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it gets put in, I'm assuming, at the front end, and then just gets sort of beaten and stretched and beaten and stretched, and it sort of rotates as it does that, because the rifling, being printed on it will make it turn. And I asked about how hot these things were when they came out, and it is a true cold hammer forge because it gets covered in coolant throughout the process, and they said that essentially when it comes out, you just catch it with your hand and you put it on the rack. They said, warmish to the touch. They said in wintertime it'll come out and it'll actually be colder than when it went in. So, and I think one of the cool things about that process though is with the LA 101s, the rim fires, they don't machine the barrel profiles. They leave it as in that raw hammer forged finish, and you can see the pattern on it. It's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was
so
certainly a highlight of the tour. I think that hammer forged machine. I think because they're just so rare. Wasn't it there like two of them in the southern hemisphere or something like that? They're not a common thing to see. Just correcting a few. Just not correcting. They're saying a few, commentating, and just confirming.
Answering some of the questions.
Yeah, correct. Answering some of the questions. So thanks, Carl and Maddie, for doing some of that.
Yep.
Yeah, very good. And where did you go from there? I think we went and looked at the sort of assembly area.
Yeah. So interestingly, just as we were sort of leaving the barrel manufacturing area, there's this rack of barrels had sort of, looked a bit different. And I said, well, what's up then?
Yeah.
And they said, they've just come back from heat treating. And I went, okay, that's really interesting. And I said, can you? And they said, no, we can't. I went, okay, I guess you won't tell me about heat treating, but they are heat treated barrels, which I guess leads on to that endurance of the firearm and that sort of stuff, which is quite considerable. So from there, went down the line a bit and looked at the machining process for the actions.
The actions.
A lot of all CNC machined and that sort of stuff. Everything is obviously based off the axis of the bolt and that kind of stuff. Had a look at the ceramic coating stuff. So they used to ceramic coat off-site, I believe, and because they weren't happy with the finish that they were getting, because it was a bit inconsistent, because the firearm was exposed to potentially too much moisture on the trip to get the ceramic coating done, which was also in Lithgow. So they just moved that on site and just do it all in one building and get a much better finish. So and then from there, had a look at the laser engraving stuff going on, and then into that assembly area where you can see all the trigger components, all that kind of stuff, and where it all gets assembled by hand, which is pretty cool. So that was really, and that sort of pretty much up to that point, that was everything that was done, and it was just tested, proof tested, and quick, clean, boxed, and ready to go. So
cool.
That was it. So did you get to see see the actions being machined and that sort of stuff? Or
I think so. I don't have a big recollection of that, but that's not overly surprising. I do remember seeing machines there and bits and pieces. So Cool.
Must have been a good course.
I wouldn't know what I was staring at. And then the assembly area where it all gets sort of put together and boxed and done and checked off and proofed, and it was interesting to see. Yeah, fascinating to see. And you were talking about test firing, about every gun getting test fired.
Yeah, that was really interesting. So all the guns are test fired to make sure that they meet the accuracy requirement, which is the sub-minute of angle. But they also receive a proof firing. So that's only 2 manufacturers in the world apparently make proof rounds. Yep. And I can't remember who they are. I think RAUG is one. RAUG is one of them. And I think they're, and don't quote me on this, anyone, please, but a proof round is like 50% over pressure.
Okay.
So, so they get tested to, which is the international standard, get tested, and they wear a proof mark for that, which is pretty cool. So it's got the same factory proof mark that you would find on an old Lee Enfield if you've got one of those floating around at home. Probably still has the same Lithgow Arms factory proof mark on it as you'll find on your new Lithgow, which is pretty cool. So it's
fascinating.
A bit of a
Yeah, nice, mate. And so I guess a lot of that stuff that's done out on the range, which we'll get into in a minute. Let's just we've sort of been ignoring the chat a little bit.
Yeah, we probably should answer some questions.
I'll just jump in there, see if there's anything we need to clarify or do it. Someone said, Trish said that your video made him want to go and buy a gun. Lithgow straight away as soon as they saw the video, so that's excellent. Sheldrake,
that's good. I hope he did.
Sheldrake said he's got a shocker of a haircut picture. I reckon I might be able to outdo you. And have you heard about this rockabilly barber in Ipswich called Johnny Voodoo's? I've heard of this guy somehow, and someone's brought it up here again. Someone's suggesting we should sell beard accessories on Projectile Warehouse. It's not the worst idea I've heard this week.
Yeah, it may come as a surprise. Given how cool I am, but I've never heard of this rockabilly voodoo dude. That's shocking. I know. But
any action on the Lithgow Instagram page, Ben? Is there? You were going to mention that to someone? Did you forget?
No, I forgot.
Okay, cool.
Matty, Carl, talk to Paul. And tell them to get active on the Instagram page, please.
Yeah, it's going crazy. A public allowed to do a tour of the factory? I don't believe so, and unfortunately, it's an invite thing.
No, I don't believe so. You would need to make a formal request and arrange that. I was fortunate that Wedgetail Industries were able to sort of open that door for me. So very fortunate in that regard.
Yeah, and mine was circumstantial as well. We were there. We hired the range to run a course, and so we sort of, as doing that, they said, "Well, while we're here, we'll take you through." And so it was very, just sort of fortunate that we happened to be there for reasons and turned into that, which was excellent. Anything on the radar for long action cartridges and fast twist barrels? I don't know. Do you have to imagine they didn't share anything about future? I know Pete alluded to a few things to be watching. What? Go watch the video. Steve, that was a question from Steve.
Well, the short answer is you should watch the video.
Yes,
but
let's go with that.
The quick synopsis is that they did hint at longer actions, given that the action has been designed to honour longer action. They hinted at potentially a light sort of mountain rifle, and also hinted at potentially going down a large caliber, long action. But that would be they did say that if they were going to do that, and they didn't say what kind of caliber, but larger, they would go for a larger action. And you can read between the lines there that there's a lot more. Yeah, there's a lot more coming from Lithgow, which is really, I think it's really exciting. I thought it was great when the the 101 came out, and I went out and bought one. That was an impulse buy. I went to a gun store and said, don't suppose you got any of those Lithgow 101s floating around in maybe 17 HMR? And the guy went, oh, yeah, let me go check. And I went, oh, yeah, here we go. I'll be here for 2 hours. He comes back 10 seconds later and he's holding one. He's like, yeah, got one, dear. And I'm like,
done.
Yep. Yeah, put it aside. Shut up and take my money.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So damn thing's a laser. Great for rabbit shooting. But and I replaced a Remington 7600 308, which was my pig shooting rifle, with a 102 and 308.
Okay. Oh, cool. So you're on board. Yeah, totally on board. Yeah, good.
Yeah. And then of course, following the tour, I went and then bought a 105.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice. Scott asks, are the proof rounds fired dry and then wet like the old 303s?
I don't know.
I would go out and guess that for the civilian stuff, probably not.
I would guess not, but it's a guess.
Yeah, you and me both.
They didn't go into the details of how they conduct that process, but if they did say it was to international standards, so if that is the international standard, then I would have to say yes. But yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look up international standards.
Gotcha. Carl has said yes. Carl works for Lithgow, and he would know because he quite likely won.
Yes, he does.
But I'm not entirely sure whether he's replying to the question directly above him or otherwise. But let's just go with yes. Yeah, they definitely do, 100%.
Good work, Carl. Keep it up, mate.
Oh, fantastic. So, guys, well, we've got you.
Thanks
for watching so far. A little reminder, tomorrow night we're doing the Zoom Hangout. So after the show, which will wrap up about 9 o'clock or 8:30 Adelaide time, 9 o'clock East Coast time, sometime in Perth, however far behind they are, and jump on Zoom. That the numbers will be at the end of the broadcast, and you'll be able to see the numbers there. Jump into Zoom, so download that now, iPads or phones or whatever you've got, and we will catch up with you there in about 40 minutes, just having a yak, and we all get to see each other, which is nice because we don't get to see you guys right now. Which I mean, for some of that, like Jonesy's in the chat, and I'm kind of glad about that. But for everyone else, it'd be nice to see you. So, but I think Jonesy is jumping in, so we will see.
Yeah.
Carl has said maybe no. I'm now confused. Jonesy has asked, what caliber in the 105 did you go?
I went with 6.5 Creed. Already got 6.5 Creed, and the one I shot up at the range when Helen and I were up there and shot. I stuck with that. The second group I shot with it with some practice hand loads that I did.
Yep.
First group I shot with it, the very first group was about 3/4 of a minute of angle, and I thought, well, that's not bad for some rough old hand loads that I cobbled together. And the second group was a .27 MOA single hole, and it continues to shoot like that. So it's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah, right.
Kind of makes custom guns look a little bit more expensive. I'm just like, oh man.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of money on guns.
Yeah, they do that. Yeah, nice.
They do.
Dazzle, which I believe might be a mate of yours, says how consistent the reloads between the 105s.
It could well be, yes.
But I believe you may have just answered that, so fair enough. Loaded questions in the chat. Love it. The range. Now, did you meet the true owners of the range? Were you introduced to the people who actually own, the beings that actually own the range and run the range how they see fit?
If you mean Richard and the guys, then yes.
Not the puppets. No, I'm talking about the real, the ones that dictate how the range gets used correctly.
The unseen hand. No,
they vary between about 4 and 6 foot tall, and they hop around. and you're basically at their beck and call as to
at
where
their mercy.
you can and can't shoot on the range, pending what they are doing at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we didn't see any up there at that
You
point,
didn't?
Tom.
Wow, we saw nothing but kangaroos when we were there. Oh, it was full on.
Well, by the time we got up there, it was sort of after lunch, and Richard and the guys were just finishing up with some serving members of the army.
Is that why Jonesy came out and yelled at you?
Yeah, we were kind of just mucking around a bit there. Yeah. But I mean, I look, I desperately wanted to take the camera into that building. Like, it's so unassuming from the outside. You're like, they probably just store like some old rifles and some like ammo and shit in there. It's like, no, that is a laboratory. It is a true laboratory.
Not wrong.
You would never guess it from looking at it from the outside. It's just the equipment that I don't even know what I'm allowed to say about it, but it's.
I think you're fine so far, man. It's an impressive room. There's dudes who really know what they're doing in there, and they punch above their weight for that sort of setup they've got there, and I think they do very, very well. Impressive.
I completely agree with you there, and it's when you look at other manufacturers that test and evaluate their own products and that sort of stuff. Turns out there's actually not as many in the world as you would think, and I think Sarco do theirs, FN Herstal do their own H&K, but a lot of other manufacturers outsource it to Picatinny Arsenal in the US, and Talus and Lithgow are one of the few that do all their own testing, evaluation, data collection, that sort of stuff. And one of the things that Richard was saying is that you can't learn things once you've learnt something on a military project and it's really, really valuable and it's useful. You don't just forget that. You can then go and apply it to the civil side of production. If there's benefit there and vice versa. So it's and there's some really serious research going into these products that we don't you don't get to see. And when I'm very fortunate that I was invited to go and see it, but you sort of think, holy shit, this is testing on this type of barrel under these circumstances, and you think not many companies could afford to do that or would take the time to do that or have thought about applying that technology in this way to get that kind of outcome and that sort of thing. So it was interesting, but because Lithgow Arms has that link with defence, one of the units had arranged for some of their personnel to come down, see some of the test and evaluation stuff, so the end user gets to see what goes into the products that they're ultimately given to use in service. So that was pretty cool. But so we sort of let those guys do their thing, and then we got to spend a bit of time on the range and shoot the 105s and that sort of stuff. And
fantastic.
That was pretty cool. So.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, fantastic, man. Yeah. So we were there for to run a course for 2 days, I think it was, and so we came in Friday. That's when we did the tour, and we went down, had lunch with the guys down in that area, and then watched a little bit of what they were doing and shooting and testing, and just the amount of rounds they go through and testing, and they alluded to that in your video. Just the amount of rounds that they put downrange through a gun is just like. Shouldn't be able to do that many, but anyway, they do, and it's phenomenal. That range is
it's really impressive.
How did you find the range to shoot on? Like, did you enjoy it? It's a challenging range.
Yeah, look, I really enjoyed it. It felt like because it is a gallery range, it's set up like the old in the military style, which sort of little bit nostalgic trip down memory lane. It's like, oh wow, I haven't been on a bloody gallery range for
okay.
All
right, just
20 years.
For those who aren't familiar with the gallery range is where you have your targets at one end, and then you will move yourself back from your target. So F-class shooters use that, and the service rifle guys use that. So it's not an uncommon range. It's not like it's a strange type of range to be on. Just that the PRS guys generally shoot on a range where you shoot it from a set position, and then your targets are spread to different distances. So it's just a different sort of setup. And it's good.
And when you guys were doing your course, that would have been around about the time that the 105 was getting close to being released, or would have just been released, wouldn't it?
Wasn't
you guys got a chance?
We had a chance to play with it but not shoot it, and so this was cycling it through, that sort of thing. It wasn't on range yet, and actually when I played with it, it was in a whiskey chassis, not the modified KRG chassis that I had played with, and I'm just like. That's sort of when I fell in love with whiskey chassis. But anyway, that's another story.
That's actually on the wall in the gun room now. That rifle with the whiskey chassis.
I did make inquiries as to whether I could get a hold of it, but apparently not. Actually, Jonesy, just it's always good having guys who are on the inside to be able to tell you a little bit of information. He said that they put a lot of rounds down range, and one of the things that they obviously hearing protection is really important, but he points out that it actually is not necessarily for the muzzle blasts. It's for the sound of you slapping your trigger so hard, Ben.
The slap that was heard around the world.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yep.
It's good.
But as we discussed, the value of filming yourself is so that you can pick up on these things and fix them. And I've been working hard on it. Trust me.
We did cover that.
Because I don't know if I can live with the ribbing for the rest of my life.
All good, man. All good. So that range we found really interesting. So we one of the things, and you would have been familiar with our techniques back when we were training, was for wind. When we were doing some introduction to wind stuff, we would take take the group and split them up into two groups. Now, we used to do this down at Kaikai. We'd be out in the field through these paddocks and stuff. At Lithgow, we were a little bit limited with that sort of things because we were because we're on sort of a fairly narrow sort of range. But we went down one end, so we had how many guys we have on it? 6 or something. So we had 3 or 4 guys down one end and 3 or 4 guys down the other end, and you would have them trying to call wind at the other points, and it was amazing to have that wind down near the targets, and it was circling, and it was chopping and changing every couple of minutes. It was full on, and that was my team. We were down there, so we were standing in all sorts of positions to try and throw them off. We'd see the trees shaking, and we'd walk somewhere else where there was no wind, so they'd look at the trees, use that as a wind call, and then it wasn't relevant to where we were. All those sort of things. And one of the guys like, they've got a flag directly behind them. We're not allowed to use that, are we? I'm like, mate, just happens to be there, so use it to call your wind. I mean, you should use everything you've got in front of you. Sure, we wouldn't normally use a flag out in the field, but anyway, so all our wind calls on our end were nailed it, and all their wind calls were all over the shop. Yeah. So take that, Danny Cole.
Just rubbish. You guys have failed the course. It's an unfailable course, and you failed.
And then you sort of partway down the range, or for the first from where that the 600-yard line is, I think.
Yeah.
That's sort of next to the office area. It's pretty open for a couple 100 yards, and then sort of boxes in down the end, and you can get that wind that comes across that, and that'll just ruin you real quick. Carl was in the chat saying the wind has not changed at all. It's still a challenge. So it's nice.
It's still dodgy.
Yeah, and because that was when we were training, that was one of the biggest things down the reason we used Kaikai, and you've been there a couple of times. Like wind was just all over the shop. You would be from your point to your target. You would have 4 or 5 different wind calls you'd have to make, that was one thing we were like going to another range we weren't familiar on. We were like, oh, hopefully there's enough to make this worthwhile. Or could we go out and go out into the scrub a little bit and try and find some other areas. Or go, and the boy said, "No, you'll be fine here." I went there and went, "Yeah, no, we are fine here." This is there's enough variety in the wind to be able to get different results and do all that sort of thing. So it was well worthwhile, but an interesting but could be challenging range to shoot on a regular basis. I'm sure these boys have it nailed, but very very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Carl's just suggesting just hold left edge.
Hold left edge. Yeah. When in doubt, hold left edge. Send it.
Yeah. All right. I'm just going to check in with the chat because we're getting towards the end of the show. Okay, picking it back up there. Anthony talks about he's fired 20 rounds out of his 105, 6.5 Creed, including the side end. The final 5 rounds were keyhole. Packed up and went home and was wasting time at 100 metres. It was seriously that good. Jonesy claims he was working.
Excellent.
APW 75's got challenges with feeding rounds into a 101. I have heard about that happening previously, and seems that a magazine change can resolve that. A couple of guys are saying that, and it's now perfect. So yeah, it's good to see. And I've seen Lithgow jump in and help out with warranty and stuff like that. Just really really well. So I'd like to do that. Yeah, and
that is one good point I think worth mentioning is that if you do have a Lithgow and you're having a problem with it, you can just call Lithgow and they will put you onto someone who can and will help you. If you've got a problem with Remington and
it's because you bought a Remington.
Yeah, what do you do with it? You've got to take it. You've got to take it back to the dealer. They send it back to the wholesaler, who then might send it back to the US.
It becomes a complicated supply chain, and that's like to lead into Thursday night show. Steve Hurt from Outer Edge Projectiles, man, he was in the chat yesterday as well, and again, like if you've got his produce and you're looking for data. There's some stuff on his website.
You call Steve.
Call him and say, here's my scenario, here's my situation, what he's suggesting, and he does and will help. And you can do that without having waiting for it's Easter in the US still, or we're still waiting on Monday, or whatever it might be. So and I think we were talking about it last night, Ben. I don't know if you were watching when we were chatting with Chris, but I mean. Tell you what, so we had an accountant on the show last night. I was nervous about how it would go, and I didn't know whether or not our audience would chat with an accountant for an hour. And I tell you what, we could have gone for 2. Like the questions coming through and all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
It was fascinating. So, how did I get onto that? Anyway, he was talking about like purchasing locally, and some of the guys here. Could hopefully have a really good benefit for various industries, but the gun industry, like really supporting the Australian manufacturers and suppliers in that way. Hopefully, if something can come out of it, that might be something that does. So,
it was interesting hearing him talk about that sort of local supply chain sort of thing where we're used to getting stuff in from overseas and that sort of stuff, but as things are now, the only options are, local supply, because that's the only thing that you can depend on. And, hopefully when people do, reach into their local supply chains and start using local products that, they will actually go, oh, wow, we do actually build some and make some really great stuff here. So I can,
we'll see. Absolutely.
That's good. The next time the next, pandemic occurs, I'm going to be sweet.
It was encouraging. Nice, mate. Well, we're going to take a quick little break away. It was good to hear about that, guys. Go and check out Ben's video about the tour of Lithgow. If you got some more time in your hands, have a little look at my videos of the small arms museums. I went in and documented a whole stack there. It was excellent. So, Scott's got a question there. Are there any local projectiles in 6.5? Yes, Outer Edge producing everything from 22 cal up to 50, and pretty much everything in between.
Yep.
But Scott, if you're watching, Thursday night, Steve from Outer Edge Projectile is going to be on talking about projectiles and design and this and that and how we got there and all that sort of stuff. So yes, there are certainly some options around. Someone suggesting ports for a guest.
We've
all gone quiet. Yes, Ian Porter. We'll have to get you on at some point. Absolutely.
Yeah, we've already discussed getting Ian on.
Yeah, we have. And
Ian, I'm assuming Ian's in the chat. Ian, stand by for our call.
All good. Now I want to. Oh yeah, Scott. Steve's actually in the chat. By the way he's answering your question. Now I wanted to this image I put up from the other chat the other night on screen now. We put this up as a caption. This. Ben, I don't know if you've got the image in front of you.
Right.
Caption this.
I do, actually, yes.
Yeah. So
let me have a look.
Yep. It's it was good fun. So this is Kerry on the right hand side. Assuming he goes out the same way I see it. It's Kerry from Precision Shooter or the bloke out in New Zealand, and that's Tim from Extravision on the other side, and they've got a huge pair of. It's like dual spotting scopes / binos / all sorts of stuff, and we put it up. It made us giggle, and we put it up because we thought we'll see what people come up with, and let's say the internet doesn't disappoint. So no memes tonight, Ben. No memes tonight, but we are going to go with we will go. I'm trying to find the photo so we can get it in a different format, but no memes, but we will go with the basis of our alpaca. Actually, choose an animal because every other guest seems to choose their own animal. So you just choose whatever animal you want to rate it out of, and then we will get your rating on a few of the entries for this particular picture. All right.
It's a maximum rating of 10.
Yep.
Animals of your choice.
Okay. Good. So what animal is of your choice tonight?
Pangolins. Apparently, they're involved in the origin of COVID-19. So I'm going to choose pangolins.
Okay. I like it. Good stuff. It sounds very close.
Not to be confused with penguins.
Yeah, very close to penguins. Right. All right. Here we go. We're chewing up all my bandwidth on doing this thing.
Yep.
And slowly loading Facebook to get to the post. I've just gone through.
Finally, your internet's slower than mine. That's excellent.
All right. Here we go. Perfect for discreet peeping Tom operations. So we probably need a fairly quick response. There's a few to get through.
Yep.
Pangolins. Chuck us a number.
I'll start conservative. I'll go with 6.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's huge. Darren says the boys are disappointed the penis viewer didn't come with instructions, but they figured out most of it out and we're now making the finer adjustments.
7.
7. All that effort's got you one more point. Okay. Nick Stowens says should have gone to Specsavers.
Oh no, you'll get 2 penguins for that.
Dude said these are so powerful you can see next week's lotto numbers. Thought that was good.
Yeah, okay. I got to admit, I do prefer the dirtier ones. Okay, you get 5 for that one.
Good. All right.
Conservative. Didn't risk it.
You might like this one. I use them to look for that thing I did wrong in that dream she had that is 100% my fault.
Okay, yeah. No, you're getting 8.5 pengulins for that.
8.5. All right, that's the highest so far. Okay. Callie says, don't tell anyone we read the instructions.
Okay.
Phil says, these aren't binos, these are binos.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You're hovering around 5 for that. Yep.
Yeah, okay. Perfect for spotting government corruption.
That's fine. 7. Not bad.
To be fair, you probably don't need the binos. My doctor said I need them if I want to.
Don't need eyes.
My doctor said I need them if I still want to drive my car.
Look, 5.
Shane
It's not
says,
bad.
I know there's a rail mount on here somewhere.
Yeah, that's
Good.
yeah.
Hey, look,
7.5. 7.5.
hey, look, they match my shorts, which did make me laugh because they kind of do look like shorts.
They kind of do look like shorts, yes.
Only when someone
Yeah,
mentions
that's,
it, and then you're like, oh, yeah, they do. Okay, good. I know there's someone on Insta as well. All right, all clear for takeoff. It's and then we probably got into some of the comments, match ones. It's about time now. You might see my impacts.
Yep. 5.
Okay, good. Glad you're judging this, not me. The arrow better see my 2 to 3 hits now. It's from Nikki.
Yeah, that's that's not a bad one actually. I'll give that one 7.
Okay, good. Well done.
That's because that's shooting very very specific. Spotting 2 to 3 hits is shit.
Here we go. Well, as the other side, it's nope, still can't see it.
Nope. Yep. Oh, you're going to call it? Well, you start hitting them, I'll start calling them.
Well, I may have said that once or twice. Yeah. Finally got the rifle sight in 100 yards.
Yeah. 5.
Corona Vision 1000.
Oh, yeah, no, you get 3.
Boom. All right. Spotting for your long shot. No, mate, I'm spotting for the next moon shot.
Yeah, okay, yeah, 6 penguins.
Maybe that arrow will finally call all of my impacts.
Yeah, that's 6.
All right, and then we've got a
6
string of
penguins.
bad ones from Andy Little, so I'm going to go through these super quick. Hey,
He's the worst.
Yeah, these are the worst. Hey, is that COVID-19 downrange? Does this look infected? Hang on, I'll get a closer look. And on target at 800, spotter. Wait, is that left or right of the grasshopper? As I said, there are some bad ones from Andy Little. Let's finish off with a couple of good ones. Should get good resolution through the neighbour's window with this puppy.
Yeah. Yep. 7.5 pangolins.
No.
I like the ones that risk offence.
Okay. Well, you're not going to like this one, but I did like this one. You're a planet and a half left.
Planet and a half. Yeah, fair enough.
All right. Look, there's a couple coming in on diggers installing the officer's spotter.
Oh yeah, well that's come from a digger.
Yeah, that's from Michelle Drake. Tim, don't cut the red wire. All right. Well, I think you're. I swear
the one that was completely 100% my fault one. What was that one?
Oh, did you like that one? Because I think you gave the highest.
That's my top. That's
your top. All right.
That was my top choice.
So Nick Rogers, I use him to look for the thing I did wrong in that dream she had that is 100% my fault. That's that's been the top one. That's Matt.
I like that. Well done, Nick.
There is one more that got hidden. Probably I don't know why, but anyway, Matt Jones ordered a penis larger on Wish.
Look, that's a good one. But I still stick with Nick's. That was it was well thought out. I like that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
Well done,
we have tacked on a whole stack of time on the end of that one with not a lot of not a lot of use. I love it. All right, Nick. Well, I don't know. I said that you'd get some of Kerry's beard, but I also said that I wouldn't actually honour that, and you just get so symbolically you have the remainder of the bloke from New Zealand's beard. Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I'll see if we can find something for you. All right, fantastic. Hey, Ben, it is, as always, been a pleasure. I'm looking forward to catching up with you again. I know we're going to do a little bit of sort of follow-up on some of the social media stuff like that we're doing, and
yes.
Yeah, it'll be good. But I've got a few other exciting guests coming up this week, and
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and just have secured. So we got we got playing around with some of the Q&As coming up as well. We've got a couple of Q&A sort of sessions planned in the next few weeks as well. So, guys, thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate you guys being on this and sharing it out and supporting it and coming and watching. Tomorrow night, please join us on the Zoom chat afterwards. We have had 15 or 16 people in there last week, and the week before was very similar, so I'd love to see that. That'll be awesome. A few more would be amazing, and let to see some new faces. So if you're thinking about it or you like what we're talking about, jump on in. It's nice and relaxed and really easy going. Fantastic, guys. Thanks very much for everything, and we will catch up with you guys tomorrow. Cheers, Ben.
Take it easy, mate. Thank you.
Hey, pretty baby. Get down.